Today is Saturday, the 14th of February 2026, and it's our 219th session of Mindfulness for Beginners in English medium conducted by the Nissarana. I would like to welcome Most Venerable Homagama DhammaKusala Thero for this session from Nissarana, and we would also like to welcome everyone who's joining into this session live via Zoom and who have joined us today, this morning, on YouTube as well. And also, can't forget those who are going to watch this later, so welcome everyone. Our program will commence as usual with an in-session practice of mindfulness, which will be guided by Venerable DhammaKusala Thero, and then we will move on to the talk on today's topic. And today's topic is transformational growth. It's not about the treasures but who you are to become. Finally, we will have a Q&A session and a chance for you to present your reports to Venerable DhammaKusala Thero. So, without any delay, I would now like to invite Venerable DhammaKusala Thero to start the session with our in-session practice of mindfulness. So, Anasa.
Thanks, Darindu. Hello, everyone. So today we thought of doing a simple activity related to mindfulness. For this, you need a piece of paper and a pen. So if you can quickly gather that, we can start the activity, and feel free to turn on video as well. When you are ready, you can use the zoom hand to show that you are ready.
Chamari is asking whether we need anything. Yes, so Venerable Swaminathan has to bring a piece of paper and a pen.
Yeah, it's going to be a really simple activity. So just a piece of paper and a pen. That's all.
And if you are ready, please raise your hand, then we know everyone's ready.
Yes, I think that's enough time and everyone is ready to start. Usually when we do things, we are in a rush to complete those things. In a way, we prefer getting this thing done. That's how we work. That's how we do many of our activities, right? And today, this simple activity, instead of rushing to get it done, instead of completing the task, we are trying to appreciate the process. Simply appreciating the process of drawing, let's say. We are not rushing to get it done, get it finished. That's the whole idea. It is very much related to our selected topic as well. Whenever we do things, it's not about finishing the activity. It's not about getting it done. Instead, we try to appreciate the process. We try to be present in the activity and whatever we are doing, right? So this simple drawing, in a way you can call this drawing probably a dark figure, or some people they call it line arts, right? So I'll simply share this video. Sorry, it's not a video, actually it's a picture, and each and every one of you feel free to create a similar drawing based on this. You can, of course, innovate and create your own line art. So we are going to take about 15 or so minutes, and feel free to innovate and enjoy the process simply. Yes, I hope you can see. You just need a single color, and let's get started. Yes, I think that's enough time to do this one. So this actually was extracted from one of the YouTube videos that are available, and the credit should go to them. But anyway, the line arts, you can really see there's no real meaning or there is no real rule. Instead, you can freely draw while appreciating the drawing process. It allows us to appreciate the process of drawing instead of making a good drawing or attractive drawing, right? This doesn't appear like that, so it gives you freedom and you can simply enjoy the process of drawing. And I'm a person who is not good at arts, but anyway, these type of drawings even I can do. Yes, I think Tarindu will also agree.
All of a
So,
sudden, I'm feeling like a professional artist. So, thank you.
yes,
Created a
yes.
masterpiece.
It appears like a masterpiece, yes. So we'll take a moment to share our own drawing, and I'll stop this one. Yes. So the whole idea of today's activity is simply appreciating the process. Whatever the activities that you do, don't rush to get it done. Don't rush to, arrive to your destination. Instead, try to appreciate the whole process of doing that thing, right? So it can be a meditation, whatever the activity, if we do in that manner, it could be a form of meditation for you. Yes, so I might have to remove the blur. Yes, so this is the one I came up with, almost similar to the one that was, yes, this is Tarindu. Yes, so that's Tarindu's. We have Panchani. That's Panchani's Chamari. Yes, you'll have to remove the background blur. Yeah, much better, yes. Then Mihiri's, yes. Anyone else? Yes, seems like that's all the drawings that we have. And if you have any comments, ideas on this, feel free to add them. We'll take a minute for the comments, ideas, then we can conclude the activity.
Let me start, Swaminathan. I actually don't want to continue with the program. I just want to continue with the drawing now. It felt so relaxing, and I think I was totally with it. At one point, my mind was going all around the place, saying, "Okay, this is not going to turn out fine." But then after a while, it was okay. I was like, "Okay, this is what I can do, and it's turning out to be nice." So then I enjoyed it, and I think if I say I felt each and every stroke that was correct, because I was with it and I was trying to. At one point, I was trying to copy what was on the screen, but later on I realized, okay, I won't be able to get that, but I am doing my own thing, and then everything was so enjoyable. That's how I felt.
Yes, I think these type of drawings, it helps us to relax in the process because there is no real, masterpiece. All the lines come together to be a masterpiece. Otherwise, if you get anxious about creating a good drawing, then that doesn't allow us to relax in the process. Usually the artists, they do it, but even for the regular people, we can enjoy something like this. Yes. Panchani, anything to add?
I would also echo what Tanda said. I used to hate art at school, but I know now I'm a lot more. I can't.
Yes. Samantha seems to have a feedback. Also, we have no expectations or competition. Yes, that's true.
Yes, Bante, sorry, I couldn't unmute. Yeah, I was just thinking, yeah, I was, it's just free, and I'm not comparing myself to anybody, and I'm just in my own space, and not being competitive or saying, oh, theirs is better or mine is better. Yeah, so that feeling is nice. Having nothing to intentions. Thank you, Bante.
Yes, yes. Thanks, Vadim. That. Yes. So it seems like that's all the comments that you have, and we can conclude with that. Yes, Taridu.
Thank you very much, Svante, for that wonderful activity. So next is the Dhamma talk based on the topic for this week, which is transformational growth. It's not about the treasures, but who you are to become. So now I would like to invite once again Venerable DhammaKusala Thero for the Dhamma talk. Swaminathan.
Yes. So this is a continuation from last time, and we'll take some time today as well to discuss about the same topic. Now, let's say whenever we do things, whenever we function, we feel like we have certain thoughts, emotions within us, and sometimes based on those thoughts, emotions, we act, we speak based on them, we do certain things based on them. That way, these thoughts, emotions control us. They control us, they make us do things, right? So that's how we function. In our day-to-day life, we can see how there's this internal dialogue, inner chatter, we call it. Initially, there's this internal dialogue, inner chatter, and later it will turn into words or actions. That way we function. Even going to meet someone, in your mind, you are planning that meeting. You are telling yourself that I will respond this way. You are planning that, and according to those thoughts, emotions, you go and meet that person. Whenever we face certain situations within us, we can see that we are creating certain thoughts, ideas. According to them, we think about it, we talk about it, we do things. That's how we live our life, right? So this way we can see always these internal things are affecting us. These thoughts, emotions are controlling our behavior, right? So that way we function. Usually, many people, they are not very aware about this process. They don't know how they react. They don't know what's underneath these reactions. They don't know how they talk. They don't know what's driving these words, right? So this way we function. But in the practice of mindfulness, we encourage people to become more aware. We encourage them to be conscious and see what are the things that drives your actions. What are the things that drives your words? And what are the things that drives your thoughts, emotions? Right? We invite people to be more conscious, be more aware about what's happening. That's the whole idea about the practice. In this practice, it's not about changing these thoughts. It's not about changing your words or actions. Instead, we encourage you to be more conscious. Sometimes, due to that awareness, when you continue to be conscious of your thoughts, words, actions, naturally the change could happen, but change is not our priority. Instead, we simply try to be more conscious of this process. Right? That being conscious, being more aware, that's the whole journey. Many people, when they talk about this practice, when they talk about the path of Buddha, they are simply focused on the destination or the ultimate goal. They say, I want to attain Nibbana. They say, I want to be peaceful. Right? That way, many people, they are focused on the destination. You talk to a traditional Buddhist and they will always say, okay, I came to the temple in order to attain Nibbana. I came to this retreat in order to attain Nibbana. I am practicing in order to attain Nibbana. That's how they talk about it. They view this as a destination. But if you know the real practice, if you know how it works, it's not about the destination. Instead, it's about the process or the journey. This process is simply becoming more aware, becoming more conscious. That's the whole process. That's why we encourage mindfulness. We don't encourage anything else. We are not talking about other things. Instead, we simply say, be mindful, and that'll do the trick. Yes, not within a day, not within a week, but you have to continue for some time. And when you become more aware, more conscious, as a result, you will feel more peaceful. You can't simply get to peace without being conscious, right? Now, let's say in Carl Jung's teachings, he's talking about Jungian shadow, right? When we think about our bodies, they have a shadow. They have a shadow following that body, right? We are going somewhere, the shadow is always following us. Usually we are unaware of this. We are not aware that there is a shadow. Of course, you know that there is a shadow, but you are not really aware about it, right? Most of the people, they function, they work, but they don't know that there's a shadow behind their body, right? But simply you can become aware of it. Okay, whatever the actions I do, always there's this shadow following my body. When I'm in sunlight, I can see the shadow behind me, right? So that way, this body, it has a shadow. This Jungian shadow, or this Carl Jung's idea, is simply there's a shadow in the mind as well. This shadow is always there. This shadow is following your actions. Sorry, you are following your thoughts, following your emotions. And based on those thoughts, emotions, there are actions, words. So those actions, words are also influenced by this shadow. That's the whole idea about this Jungian shadow. simply a shadow in your mind, right? So you don't know how these things are driven. You don't know what is influencing your thoughts. You don't know what is influencing your emotions. You simply become a slave to those thoughts. You simply become a slave to those emotions, and based on them, you speak, you act, but you don't know how these thoughts are happening. You don't know how these emotions are coming, right? So this type of shadow is there in the mind. In the Buddhist practices, it is simply identified as latent tendencies. Latent tendencies, that's how it is identified, right? In your mind, there are certain latent tendencies present, and according to those tendencies, you act. For example, let's say when you see certain things, you get irritated. You don't get irritated for everything. Instead, due to certain people, due to certain incidents only, you get irritated. And it is not common to someone else. Someone else might not get irritated for the people that you are getting irritated. Someone else might not get irritated due to the incidents that you are getting irritated, right? So you are getting irritated due to certain people, incidents, and behind them, there are certain latent tendencies. You can't really see them in your mind. They are in the dormant stage, but when there's this outside trigger, you get irritated. When there's this outside person or this incident, you get irritated, right? So in a way, these latent tendencies, we can simply identify them as the potential. You have a certain potential to get irritated. You have a certain potential to get angry. You have a certain potential to get lust. This way, although it is not present, although it is not apparent in your mind in the moment, you have a potential for that, right? So that's what's identified as latent tendencies. Currently, your mind is not irritated, but your mind has the potential of getting irritated. Due to certain triggers, you get irritated. So these latent tendencies, currently, they are dormant. They are sleeping, but they are there, right? So that way, we can say these shadows or these latent tendencies are in our minds. And it's not common to all of us. It's different. It's unique. You get irritated only due to certain people, certain incidents. Someone else might get irritated due to a different person, due to a different incident, right? So this way, we have our own unique latent tendencies, right? And then they grow into the next level, which means in your mind, you are irritated. In your mind, you are angry. In your mind, you are lustful. That's also happening, right? So that stage is simply identified as outbreak. Now in your mind, you can see that you are irritated. You are starting to tell or self-talk, inner chatter happens. This person is always troubling me. I should do something. Why is he troubling me? I'm minding my own business. But this fellow is keep troubling me. Yes, so that way, this mind starts the inner chatter. You can see the irritation in your mind. You can see the emotions, thoughts related to it. And that stage is identified as outbreak. Now it has come to the surface. Now it's in your mind. Then, based on these thoughts, emotions, you might act. You might start blaming that person, telling angry words, or you might go away from that place, walk away from that place, right? So that way, these bodily, verbal actions are coming, right? This third stage is identified as transgression. Now you can see, based on those thoughts, emotions, you are simply acting. You are talking. You are doing something, right? So these three different levels are identified in this practice. First stage is latent tendencies. They are in the dormant stage. Then the outbreak, it has come to the surface. You are having thoughts, emotions related to it in your mind. So it is identified as manifested stage, where the irritation has manifested in your mind. Then the final stage is transgression, which means you're acting based on that, right? So these three levels are there in the mind. Usually, the worldly people, they are only aware about the transgression, which is simply acting based on these things, right? They do certain things. They get angry, and you can see road rage videos that's out there, right? Sometimes people do horrible acts based on their thoughts, emotions, right? So this way, the transgression level you can see in the outside world, and many people are simply caught in those things, right? So that's the worldly level. Maybe you get punished by law because of this stage. You hit someone, then you get punished by the law. You do some other horrible act, you get punished by the law, right? So this way, the transgression level is simply out there in the world, and sometimes it is punished by the law, right? So that level, we all know, it is quite prominent in the outside world, right? But the outbreak, usually we don't get to see it. Only the practitioners, they get to see it, right? They simply become aware how these thoughts are there in the mind, how these emotions are rushing in my mind, right? They simply become aware of the outbreak. It's in the mind, the thoughts, emotions are in the mind. You can simply be conscious how they are working. You can simply be conscious how these thoughts, emotions are rushing in your mind, right? So that level, the practitioners come to become aware of that level, outbreak. Then in the practice, let's say in your meditation, sometimes you get to see certain time periods, few minutes, without thoughts or emotions in your mind. You are simply there, you are quite peaceful, no thoughts are troubling you, no emotions are prominent in the mind. So that level, the meditators are experiencing. When they start their practice, you can't see any gaps between these thoughts. The thoughts are always rushing. But when you practice for a while, especially in the sitting sessions, you can feel a certain periods, few minutes, without any thoughts, without any emotions in the mind. You are simply there, you know that you are there, but no thoughts, no emotions bother you. Right? So that level, the practitioners are experiencing. But still, although currently there is no thoughts, no emotions in the mind, you have the latent tendencies. The dormant stage is still there. You have the potential to get irritated once again. You have the potential to get angry once again. That stage still there, right? So these three different stages, how can we address them? That's the very idea. Initially, of course, you need mindfulness. You need mindfulness to understand the transgression level. Okay, I'm acting this way, I'm talking this way, right? That would be the first identification. Then you come to the outbreak, which is simply observing the thoughts, emotions in your mind. And finally, you reach the level which is called latent tendencies, or the dormant stage, where you simply can't see these thoughts, emotions, but you know that the potential is there, right? So these three levels we address in our practice. For example, let's say when you talk about morality, usually the morality will cover only the transgression level. You accept a precept saying that you are refraining from false words. You refrain from lying, right? So based on that morality, you try to prevent this transgression level. It's not easy, it's a process, but gradually you work on it and you develop that ability, right? But still, this inside your mind, this outbreak is there, which is simply the thoughts, emotions. You get angry, you have angry thoughts, emotions, you get lustful, you get jealousy in your mind, right? So this outbreak is there in the mind. So the morality can't help that. The morality, of course, many people are doing, but in their minds, they are full of garbage. They can see they are practicing morality, but they don't know how to get rid of this outbreak level. Many people, they come and complain. Why? Because they don't know the practice. They say, I'm protecting my morality, I'm observing sila, but still in my mind, there's a lot of garbage. I can't get rid of them. Although I'm not committing any acts, in my mind, I get angry a lot. In my mind, I get lustful a lot, right? So that way, they talk about that level and they don't know how to deal with it, right? But in order to deal with that level, the outbreak, you have to develop your practice. You have to develop your mindfulness. And as a result, you can see for few minutes, you can't see any outbreak. That has subsided. That's what I said earlier. You have certain patches where there are no thoughts. It feels utterly peaceful because all you have experienced in your life is a mind full of thoughts. That's what we have experienced. A mind full of thoughts. That's what we have experienced. But in this practice, when you develop your practice for a while, when you continue for few days, few weeks,
you can really see how you are experiencing a mind without thoughts, without emotions. Maybe for few minutes, you can see there are no thoughts, you simply be. Right? So, due to the practice, due to the concentration that is developed in the practice, you can see this outbreak. That level is also subsided. Right? Currently, in the mind, there are no thoughts. You simply be. Due to the practice, but these thoughts are subsided. But still, you know that there's this potential. There's this potential to get angry. The latent tendencies are still there. Right? That level is not easy. That level is tricky because you can't really see them in the surface. Right? So that's why this whole practice or this whole path is really important. Right? You have to get rid of the root level as well. The roots are there. They are underneath the soil. You can't see them, but there's this potential to grow the plant once again. Right? So this level, addressing it, it's a long-term effort. That's why it is important to continue this practice for a while. Now, even this program, I think we have continued for many years. The people who were there initially, probably today, they are not here. But I know at least few people who have continued for many years. And during that time, they can see how this final level is addressed. This final level is addressed in their mind, and gradually they can see the roots are weakening. The latent tendencies are also weakening. That they can see in the long-term practice. Right? So that's why this very idea, it is not about the destination, it's not about the treasure, but who you are to become. It's not about the nibbana, but who you are to become, following that path. That's the whole idea, right? You are to become a new person, a different person. Current stage, you might be having certain states of mind, but when you continue this journey for some time, you have to reach a new normal. That's the word, new normal. Currently, you are experiencing a certain level of mind due to latent tendencies. Currently, you are experiencing probably, let's say, anger arising couple of times daily. When you travel, you get angry. When you deal with your family members, you get angry. That way, you can see this is the state of my mind. Every day, couple of times at least, I get angry. Then I have a lot of jealousy working in my mind. Some people, they feel that a lot of lust is there in my mind, right? So that way, they see a certain state of mind. This is who you are at the moment, right? But let's say when you continue for some months, even few years, you can see you have reached a new normal. What is this new normal? You can see I used to get angry frequently. Earlier, few years ago, I used to get angry frequently. But now that frequency has reduced. Still, I'm getting angry, but not that frequent. Earlier, my mind was full of lust. Now, after few months, few years, still the lust is there, but it is not so frequent, right? So this way you can see you have arrived to a new normal in your mind. That's the most important thing, right? So taking this journey for few months, few years has made you a different person. You have arrived at a new normal, new state of mind. So that's the very transformation that we are talking about. You start in a certain way, you start in a certain state, but when you continue for few months, few years, you can see you are much better off. You are much more peaceful. Still you are getting angry, but not so frequently. Still there is lust in your mind, but still it is not so prominent. Right? So that way you have arrived at a new normal. So how did you reach there? Simply taking that whole journey or walking that whole path. Still not, you are not done. There's a long way to go. But you have made some changes. You are experiencing some transformation. Right? So that's the whole idea about this path of Buddha. That's why it says it's not about the treasure, it's not about the Nibbana, but who you are to become in the process. Right? So these latent tendencies, the root level, currently the roots are so strong. It can grow repetitively, it can grow stronger. Right? But when you continue for some time, when you arrive at a new normal, you can see still the roots are there, but the roots are weak now. Due to that, still it is arising, but not so frequently. Still it is arising, but not so strongly. Right? That will tell you that the latent tendencies or the dormant stage has changed. It has transformed. Right? Without addressing this dormant stage, you can't reach at real peace. You can experience peace, but that peace is short-lived because the root level you are not addressing, right? So this root level, how to address it? Simply mindfulness is the key. That's why in these programs, we don't preach much about the concentration. Many people, they like the concentration, the high the concentration gives. It's like a drug. They always talk about that. But concentration will give you a high. That high is short-lived. It'll last for a session, it'll last for a few minutes, and that's it. It's done. Once again, you are back to your usual ways. Once again, you are back to your usual irritation, right? But this mindful approach, we are not limiting your practice. We are not saying that sitting is only meditation. That's not the case. Instead, we say whatever you do, simply approach it mindfully. Even today's activity, you can see we did this simple line drawing. And we tried to do that activity mindfully. We tried to enjoy the process, right? So we have many repetitive menial activities in our day. Eating many meals, drinking many things, walking, sitting, doing various home chores, right? So all these activities, usually we are in a rush. We are in a rush to complete. That's how we deal with these things. But for the practitioners, we encourage them to be mindful and simply appreciate the process. Being mindful is the key in order to target or in order to get rid of this root level, the latent stage, the tendencies, right? How? Because every time you get irritated, every time you get angry, there's a deeper message in that incident. You can see you are getting irritated. You can see you are getting angry. You can see likes and dislikes in your mind. These likes and dislikes, they are representing this dormant stage. They are showing signs of the root level, right? So that way, you keep observing in your daily life, you keep seeing how you are getting irritated repetitively. You keep seeing how you are getting angry repetitively. You keep seeing how these thoughts, emotions are arising out of nowhere, right? So that way, you be mindful in your daily life, in your day, and as a result, you can see that these latent tendencies are becoming weaker. You can see one day you have arrived to a new normal. As I explained earlier, you have arrived to a new normal, right? So that's how this journey will transform you. And sometimes in their meditation, people are sharing certain experiences. Even yesterday, a young man, was talking about his meditation experience. He was saying probably like 20 minutes into the sitting session, he could feel certain blurry thoughts appearing. He was saying, I could feel the breath, but in the background, I can see many thoughts are in action. These thoughts are not so strong. I don't get carried away with these thoughts, but there are thoughts. That's what he was saying, right? So these meditation experiences, it's not really the outbreak that you're experiencing. It doesn't feel like that. You know that these thoughts are not making you a slave. You know that these thoughts are not prominent as usual. It's not the outbreak level. Instead, what you are experiencing is simply these latent tendencies. Sometimes they come as mental images. Sometimes they come as these tiny thoughts, hundreds of thoughts. Sometimes they come as certain dream-like experiences, right? But these situations, these experiences in your meditation, you are simply addressing these latent tendencies or the dormant stage. And when you go through many such experiences, you can see one day you have arrived at a new normal. That new normal will tell you that you are not getting angry so frequently. Your mind is not full of lust like it used to be. You are not getting irritated to each and every situation or person that's out there, right? So that way you can see that you have arrived at a new normal, right? So you can see you have transformed yourself. That transformation came out as a result of the whole journey that you have taken, the whole path that you have walked for many years. Without that, this transformation won't happen, right? So that's why it says it's not about the treasure, but who you are to become, right? So that's it for today. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you, Bhante, for that valuable talk. I hope we can all develop our mindfulness so that we are enjoying the process rather than the destination. Bhante, with your permission, I will, before I go on to reading reports, I will share the guidance given by Nissarana Vanaya. I'm sure Tarindu will share the screen for all of us. Thank you, Tarindu. So Nissarana has prepared 2 YouTube videos to guide you with your sitting, walking practice. They have also provided a link for you to share your experience during day-to-day activities as well as your sitting and walking practice. You can allocate a small time during the day. You can start practicing mindfulness daily without breaking. And continue until you complete 2 hours of practice each day in total. And with the link given here, you can submit your practice reports under the sections of mindfulness sitting, mindful walking, and mindfulness during day-to-day. You can describe the sensations you felt, if it's walking practice, the sensations you felt under your feet, the texture of the ground, the coldness, the wetness, the warmth, pressure points on the soles, how your body weight shifted from one leg to the other. If it's sitting practice, you can describe your prominent sensations, incoming and outgoing breath at the nostrils, racing of the abdomen. You can email your reports to beginners@gmail.com or send us a Google form. You can receive the guidance given by Bhante to strengthen your practice. With that said, I'm going to read the first report that we have received, Bhante. It's from an adult. Venerable Swami Mahansa, mindful walking, place in the room, time 7:55 a.m., primary object sensations under feet. I walked freely few times, stood at the edge, and observed posture as a statue. Started to walk labeling feet as left and right. Felt hardness of the floor, walked observing hardness of the floor, could place about 8 footsteps in a length mindfully, not much thoughts, heard beautiful singing of birds, felt lazy and drowsy. Observed circles of mindful and unmindful times. Mindful sitting. Sat and observed posture as a statue. Listened to the sounds. Observed belly movements. Could observe 6 motions in a length. Itchy sensation at feet occurred. Sat for about 30 minutes. Theruvan Saranai Uttam Swami Mahansa. End of the report, Bhante.
Yes, so the practice is good, and in that you made a comment about how you are experiencing certain periods of mindfulness as well as certain periods of unmindfulness. Right? So many people, when they get into the practice, they try to get 100% mindfulness. That's what they aim at. They are saying that I want to be 100% mindful. They want to target perfection. But in reality, mindfulness, that too, is another part of this mind. And even unmindfulness is another part of this mind. We appreciate mindfulness, we develop mindfulness, but you won't be able to reach at a 100% level. You won't be able to reach perfection. Instead, there'll be always certain periods of unmindfulness. And it's okay. It's okay because you are human. It's okay because it is natural to this mind. Right? So that idea is important. In your report, I feel like you have accepted unmindfulness to be a part of this mind. It was not written as a complaint. Instead, you see how certain periods are mindful, certain periods are unmindful, and it's okay, right? And when Buddha introduced mindfulness power, what is the power level? Many people would think that it's talking about the perfection, but actually, your mind is not shaken by the unmindfulness. That's the whole idea about mindfulness power. When you reach that level, you simply accept that the unmindfulness to be a part of your mind, and you are not simply shaken by it. You make mistakes, but you are not shaken by it. You break certain precepts at times, but you are not shaken by it. You know that you can correct yourself. You know that you can once again become mindful. Right? So that's the very idea. So that's why at a certain stage of this practice, we have to accept unmindfulness as well. We feel that the unmindfulness is there. Sometimes it happens. The mistakes are there. Sometimes it happens. And the precepts are broken. Sometimes it happens. But that's okay. We can once again correct ourselves. Your mind is not shaken by these experiences, right? So that's important. With that idea, I would encourage you to continue.
Thank you, Bante, for that guidance given. That's the only report that we have received today. So if anybody would like to present their questions to Bante and receive the guidance, this is the time.
Sorry, Panchani, to disturb you. There's a message on the chat, if you can read it out.
Yeah. So this message is from Gihantha, and it says, during these sessions, Venerable Bante mentions the importance of observing and noticing our thoughts as they emerge, but not entertaining or proliferating them. Is this the way to begin addressing latent desires?
Yes, so that's a good start. You are assured that you are not proliferating, you are not getting lost in them. Instead, you can mindfully observe it, right? So that's a good start to address this dormant stage. But going into the practice, when you do your formal meditation, the experiences I mentioned earlier, they might come. You go through in your meditation, and those experiences are digging deep into the dormant stage. Dream-like experiences where certain memories, certain pictures, certain incidents that come to your mind. Sometimes you can feel many thoughts are there in the background, like a fabric. But these thoughts, they are not so prominent. These thoughts, they are not so strong as the usual day-to-day thoughts, right? So that way, this root level, it starts to appear, especially in the formal meditation. And so that's why we encourage people to practice walking, sitting, formal meditation. And when they do that, they can really dig deep into these latent tendencies, the dormant stage. That has to change, otherwise, no Nibbana, that's for sure, right? So that dormant stage has to change. That's how you can experience a new normal.
Thank you, Bante. Does anyone have any questions? If you do, please can you raise your Zoom hand and present your question to Bante? We have time for that today. Can't see any Zoom hands raised yet. Until someone raises their Zoom hand, I'm sure they will once we start discussing. Bante, may I please share an observation that I had so beginning of the years of practice, Bante, the couple of years, like 2 or 3 years was right. It was running really smoothly. But the third to like seventh year now. It's like, I don't know, sixth year, seventh year. It's the challenges that I get is just one after another. So many challenges. I can see the mind is becoming more resilient with them, and the challenges are needed. Last year I came back and I was given a job out of the blue, and this year it went out of the blue. It's like all of these, like getting, receiving, and then taking away. All of these, I think, is the practice itself is giving me these challenges.
Yes, so it seems like it is balancing your accounts, you know, finishing this, right? So that happens at certain, I wouldn't say it's like, it's like a certain patches, certain periods. It becomes really rough. You are simply navigating rough seas, right? And when you reach the end of that period, you realize that you are left with much more insight developed. That's how it works. So for maybe initially it runs smoothly, and there's this rough patch that appears. You feel like you're falling apart, you feel like you can't get through it. But if you reach the end of it, then you realize you are much better off. You are left with a deeper insight into your mind. You can see the mind is more resilient. You can see you are experiencing deeper levels of peace, right? So initially, the practice starts as order, but gradually, at certain periods, it turns into disorder. That happens. Many people, they hate this part. They say, I need the order. That's why I am practicing. But in a way, let's say if you're maintaining order, even in your mind, in a way, it's more like you have this under control. That's a sign of strong self, in a way, right? So even in the practice, sometimes it feels like the traditional approach, the practice, we feel like we are strengthening ourselves. We try to establish order in this world. We try to establish order in this mind. That's okay. That's the initial part. But gradually, if your practice works, you can see how this order turns into disorder. Many people, they hate it. But if you accept it, if you accept this change, that very disorder is teaching you much deeper lessons. That very disorder is closer to non-self or anatta. If you feel like you have this under control, it's a self of atta. Self. It's a sign of atta. If you feel like you have this under control, it's a sign of atta. It's a sign of self. But disorder will tell you that you have no control over this. This is out of control. And it is closer to the concept of anatta that we are talking in the practice, right? So this disorder you have to accept. It feels like the universe is controlling you, the nature is controlling you. Sometimes certain opportunities are given out of the blue. Sometimes those opportunities are taken back out of the blue. Sometimes certain days randomly you feel very good in your mind. Certain days you are totally broken in your mind, right? So that's how the disorder will appear. When the disorder appears, you have to understand this is closer to the non-self, the anatta in the practice. Many people, if they somehow deal with this, if they somehow go through this, then they become simply enlightened. But many people, they feel like this is too much. They feel like they are broken. They go to the doctors and doctor gives some pills. Again, the order comes. Right? So accepting this disorder accepting this chaotic mind, it's not easy, but gradually we develop that ability. Gradually, steadily, we go through these experiences, and they leave you with deeper insight. That's the whole idea. So don't rush this process. You have to slowly take it. Step by step, you approach this. Day by day, you approach this. And somehow, you go through these experiences. And one day, you realize this very process brings you closer to Nibbana.
Thank you, Bante. Very, very encouraging. I'm sure there'll be others that wants to add to the discussion. It's always valuable.
Panchari, sorry again. And I've got
Yeah.
a message from one of the participants, and it's quite a long message. I've sent it to you.
Okay.
It's actually a three-part message.
Tarindu, did you send it via my email or
No, just on the chat.
on the chat? Okay, I see. Let me have a look. Yeah. So there are three parts. Theruvan Saranai Bante. Several years back, when I started the practice, I was broken to pieces. My family neglected me as they were more concerned with the respect of society. Anyhow, the period during which I was isolated was a gift to connect with Nissarana and practice with guidance. I started learning to enjoy my own company through ups and downs. After some time, I had to connect with the family due to the loss of a family member, due to old lessons and bitter experiences. I communicate with them within boundaries while living alone, as they need my presence. With practice, it was able to not to give a chance to make new wounds. But they keep trying to put me down, raising my lifestyle, etc. Those times, no reaction and silence. It is like dropping what is there and moving to the next. The main reason is that I left the job, which they can boast about to others. The new work suits the practice and health conditions. The family wants to convince me as a failure from time to time, as these types of comments and actions of theirs were fuel for having self-hatred stuff. Now it is discouraging to visit the family. As a question fades, why and what for visit? Why and what for visit when you know the result and what they can give? Or why visit when you know the result and what they can give? As it is a choice to connect with such or not. It is understood that they act from their beliefs and wounds. Even though it doesn't have the urge to keep visiting such places, the urge is to be silent and be away. It shows that the family is mirroring back to me. That is an unclear, blurred belief, as they should not judge me or they should not do so. It is like getting attention to where something was hidden. It is like asking to be open to be judged, as it is out of control. Another thing is that it is noticed. Sorry, I lost my place. Another thing is that it noticed the blurred pieces or dislikes towards their actions. It is very blurred and broken pieces, but it can be identified. It carries characteristics of hate. When the above things appear, it is observed. But mostly it is like hidden and not clear. So it keeps accepting that nature. End of the report, Bante.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. It says that everything happens for a reason. So although those incidents, you being broken into pieces, isolation from the family, although it was a difficult experience, that very experience led you towards the practice. Simply appreciating the company of you, right? We have this upcoming children's session, and since it's Valentine's Day today, we selected a certain topic. It says, I'm spending Valentine's Day with the cutest and nicest and most amazing person ever. Me. That's the cutest, nicest, and the most amazing person ever. Right? So you simply enjoy your own company. You simply develop that ability. Usually we need the outside people, outside incidents, outside praises in order to understand our self-worth. But in this practice, when you gradually develop that ability, you don't need any outside catalyst in order to understand your self-worth, right? So that's the gift that you have received. You have received that gift due to those very difficult, troubling experiences. Without them, you wouldn't receive this, right? So that's why it says, everything happens for a reason. If you accept that, if you go through that experience, then you come up with deeper insight into your life, right? So now, again, due to certain things, certain periods, you have to deal with your family, right? Can you simply get rid of them and be peaceful? I don't think, right? Whatever the things that you are getting irritated, whatever the judgments that received from the outside, it's simply a test for you. It's a test for your practice, right? So we are not saying that go there and live there. That's not the case. Instead, have your space, have your me time, the alone time. But when the world demands, you go and meet them, you go to those functions and see what's the message that you are receiving, right? Whatever the irritations, whatever the judgments that hits you, it has a deeper teaching, right? So you get these experiences in order to learn that deeper teaching, right? So all of our families are broken. I don't think there is anybody who can claim that they had a perfect childhood, that they had a perfect family. No, I don't think. All our families are broken. There's no doubt about it. And these incidents, these experiences, whatever that happened, they happen for a reason, right? So these experiences are the source of our wisdom, or it's the source of our path. Without these experiences, we won't be here, right? So whatever that's still there, you can't simply avoid them. Instead, time to time, you have to go meet them. Time to time, you have to deal with them. Whenever that happens, it's another meditation for you. You approach that very meeting, very place as a meditation and see how you are still irritated by these judgments, how you are still influenced by them, right? So that's the teaching that you have to listen to. That's the message that you have to listen to. And when they continue this way, maybe for a few more years, you can see that it's not really bothering. They no longer are bothering your life or bothering your mind. You sometimes meet them, but still you are not shaken. Judgments are there within them, still you are not shaken. Right? That will be a silent sermon for them as well one day. It will be a silent sermon. They too will wonder We are judging, but this person is not getting irritated. We are giving all the heat, but this person is not reacting. Right? So that will be a silent sermon for you, for them one day. Right? So we would encourage you to continue this process, continue for a few more years and see how you would be better off one day going through these experiences and developing your wisdom.
Thank you, Bante. It's been such a valuable discussion, valuable guidance. With that, I think, Tarindu, you can take over now.
Right. Thank you, Panchani, for conducting the Q&A and the reflect session. I think we had a wonderful session today, but it is time to end it, as we have run out of time as well. So I would like to first thank Venerable DhammaKusala Thero for all his guidance and making the time to be here every Saturday and share and teach us about mindfulness. And on behalf of the organizers, I would also like to thank the Chief Abbot of Nissarana Vanaya who initiated this program, Venerable Udayagama Dhammajiva Mahathero. May these merits help them improving their own practices as well. And I would like to thank everyone who are here today with us via Zoom and also joining us on our YouTube live stream as well, and especially those who are watching this later as well. So thank you everyone. Thank you for joining, and I would like to thank the organizers. There's a lot of things happening behind the scenes, and there's a lot of people committing and trying to make this session a reality every Saturday. So thanks everyone. And with that, I would like to end today's session, and I hope you will have a mindful week ahead. Thank you very much.